Hello and welcome to the Midnight Bible Study. Blessed are the persecuted. Matthew 5:10. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. How is that possible? That doesn't even make sense. You know, it goes against just common sense. I mean, normally, if people say something nasty about us, it's normal to just get depressed. Possible. I mean, it's possible to get depressed, to feel bad, but I mean, much worse things happen. But Jesus says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake." So it's not just if we're a scoundrel and we're doing bad things and we're persecuted, let's say, by the police. Well, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about those who are persecuted for my sake, for Jesus' sake, for the faith. Blessed are they, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. That's the main point here. We're not on this earth just to go on vacation. And it's not all about constant fun and pleasure. We're here to get to heaven. That's the most important thing, because heaven is eternity, and we have a very brief time on this earth in order to get there. But what can people go through in order to get to heaven? I mean, the Bible says all these present sufferings amount to nothing compared to the glory that will be revealed to you later. So our present sufferings are nothing. What kind of sufferings are nothing compared to the glory of eternity with Jesus in heaven? I'm going to give you a few amazing stories, absolutely amazing stories of these people who have suffered that, it's nothing compared to what they faced later. So the first one is Saint Dionysa. I'm sorry, Saint Dionysa. Now, Saint Dionysa, it says during the persecution of the Catholics in Africa by Arian King Huneric, the beautiful Dionysa was arrested and scourged in the Forum for her faith. So you've got this beautiful woman. She was a Christian, a Catholic. And so what did they do to her? They took her out in the city square and they scourged her for her faith. And her young son tagged along, and he was watching this, and he was crying to see his mother abused like this and in such a cruel manner. It was a shocking, horrific scourging. And the little son, so Dionysia, was she defeated and crushed by this experience? No. When her young son, Majorcus, wept at the sight of his mother being scourged, she encouraged him. She encouraged him and gave him to have courage. Both with his sister Davina, they were burned at the stake. Well, so that was both with her sister Davina were burned at the stake. So Dionysa and her sister. First they were scourged at the public square, and she was never crushed by this. She kept up the spirits of her son. She encouraged him even as she was being scourged. And then to get rid of her, they took her and her sister and burned them at the stake. Her cousin Emilian, a physician, and Tertius were flayed to death. They were flayed to death. That sounds horrific. Also martyred at the same time were Dionysia Boniface and Servus, the resident of Theburbo, and Victoria, who refused the pleas of her apostate husband to renounce her faith for the sake of her children. These people were not lukewarm Catholics. They were not wimpy Christians. They were ready to die for the faith. They were ready to die for Jesus Christ rather than deny their Lord for these scoundrels, these pagans who murdered them all. And what does that amount to? It amounts to nothing compared to the glory of God that will be revealed later in heaven. All of our present sufferings, they seem so bad, and they are painful, but they amount to nothing compared to the glory that will later be revealed to us for our faithfulness. Now, Saint Gabra is another shocking story. Saint Gabra was ordained a priest in Ethiopia, and the new king, there was a new king came into power, King Theodore II. He unleashed a persecution on the Catholics. Saint Gabra, with 4 colleagues, was imprisoned and tortured for months. They tortured him for months and condemned to death. And then he was fortunately the prison sentence was commuted to life in prison. That was the only thing is then however, for the next 3 months, the king had Gabra dragged behind a chariot, dragged around, not at high speed, but dragged behind a moving chariot in chains or by soldiers, dragged in chains wherever he went. And the abuse was so extreme that it killed him after 3 months. So but Gabra never backed down from his faith. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they when they revile you and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Those are the words of Jesus in Matthew chapter 5. But there's another story. I mean, Saint Tertius was killed by gladiators in the arena. And Saint Germanicus, I'll tell you about, this is unbelievable, Saint Germanicus. All that is known of him is that he was condemned to death by wild beasts in the amphitheater at Smyrna, and won the admiration of the crowd by provoking the animals to attack him when they hesitated. This guy could hardly wait to die for Jesus. He wanted to be a martyr because all of our sufferings are nothing compared to what will be revealed to us in the glory of God at the time of our deliverance to heaven. So there you go. That's Matthew 5:10. Blessed are the persecuted. One of the Beatitudes. God bless you. Have a great night.